Howdy, y'all. Welcome to the Marty Smith podcast. It's the week of January 17th, 2022. Wesley is here. Hello, Wesley.
Hello, Marty. Hello, Travis. Hello,
What's your
Brandon.
blood alcohol content? Have you come down yet from the national championship?
Well, we had a snow day yesterday, so, all bets are off at that point. So, BAC, it's not zero, but it's probably not measurable.
Yeah, anytime that you have a snow day, that's a really big occurrence in the Southland, and everybody loses their minds. It's mass hysteria. Right outside my door right now, everything is melting, along with all of our spirits. Travis is also with us this week. Welcome back, Trav.
What's going on, boys? It's good to be back.
I like your T-shirt.
The kid?
Travis has on a King Griffey Jr. Don Russ rated rookie. Or is that a Topps?
It's Topps.
Okay, that's a Topps rookie card for King Griffey Jr. back when he had a little bit of a mullet.
Yeah, I see that.
Kenny's
kind of back there.
He's repping a little bit of a mullet there. We need to try to have him on the program here. He's a friend of the show. You guys ever seen King Griffey Jr. hit a golf ball? He goes a country mile. Let me tell you, it's that beautiful swing, and boy, does that thing. I mean, he needs a tail number when that guy hits it.
You know, they say for baseball players, most pitchers are better natural golfers because like the mechanics or whatever, but I have no doubt that Griffey can get a hold of one.
Well, I also
Pitchers
think
are great golfers not because of mechanics, but because they work once every 5 days.
They have so much free time. It's why kickers and punters are great at golf too. It's that they're not required to, practice and show up every day like all the other players.
We have a monster program today. The boys and I will break down all the current events in our lives, but after we get through all that dribble, I just finished a few moments ago interviewing one of the greatest, most iconic race drivers of all time, and maybe one of the most iconic athletes of all time, Mario Andretti. I had high expectations for it. They exceeded those expectations, and y'all are going to be a little taken aback at some of the things Mario told us. In fact, originally, Travis and I had planned to hold on to this interview for a little bit longer as we approach the start of the various race seasons. But based on what Mario told us, we chose against that. We'll get to that in a few moments. But first, Wes, let's go back to the snowstorm. Did you go sledding?
No, I didn't go sledding. Made a snow dog out front and went out on the golf course near the house, and it was totally untouched with my little toddler. So a winter wonderland. I'm not sure if she'll remember it or not. I don't know when kids start remembering things, but if she can remember anything from yesterday, from the weekend, it'll be pretty special memories.
What's your first memory?
My first memory is like throwing this little Mickey Mouse fishing rod that my granddad got me in our living room in Savannah. And I don't know how old I was, but that was my first memory.
You mean casting it?
Yeah, you know what I mean. Casting.
Yeah, I mean, when you said throw, I was like, were you having a tantrum?
Yeah, we
just
chucking it.
Just tossing it all over the living room.
I don't know. We used to do that. That's what rednecks do, man. When I was a kid, I remember my first fishing rod was a Zebco 33, just like everybody else under the sun. It's been sung about in 2,000 country music songs, but it's the truth. It's the very first fishing rod I ever had. My daddy bought it at CMT over in Blacksburg. That was our sporting goods store. Back then there weren't all the amazing sporting goods stores like today, like Academy Sports and Outdoors. We didn't have those when I was growing up. Academy's about to make its way into Virginia, just for the record. All of my friends back home, you will have Academies galore at your disposal very soon. But I remember I would walk into the den and say to my mom and daddy, they'd be like, "Where are you going?" I say, "I'm going to go cast." And I'd just go out in the yard with a bobber and a weight and just cast for an hour straight, just reel it in.
Wait, you weren't actually fishing?
No, you're catching sticks.
I didn't have any water near me, dude.
Yeah, you're just tossing it,
You would just
man.
cast. Yeah, you
That
just
sounds
trying to hone
awful.
your craft.
Nah,
Nothing awful
man.
about it. It was fantastic.
Couldn't find a creek or a pond or something?
Well, Travis, I mean, when I was 10 years old, I had a bike, but the nearest body of water was the New River. And in order to get to the New River, I would have to go on US 460, which as a 10-year-old on my Huffy ain't the safest plan.
I just figured that everybody had like a pond near them that they could go fishing in. Like,
no, man.
That's what I grew up with.
What do you think this is? Like the water world? Or where do you think everybody
You
lives?
grew up with a pond near you, Travis. Explain this.
Down the road, a neighbor's had a pond. Probably a mile away, another friend had a pond. In the back of our neighborhood was a little creek that there's a body of water. You could at least I doubt there's many fish there, but you could at least try. Like, I just casting a line out in the field, like that sounds like the worst summer day of my life.
It's good practice, man. You got to get the mechanics down.
I try to tell my
understand.
kids.
Yeah.
I try to explain to my kids when they tell me that they're bored and they ain't got nothing to do. I'm like, that's bullshit. That's a complete and total crock of bullshit. You have so much you could be doing right now. And they were like, well, what should we do? And I'm like, well, grab a basketball and go shoot hoops. We don't want to do that. Get on your bike and ride around the neighborhood. We don't want to do that. We bought them a trampoline. All right. We got them a trampoline, and it's a fancy pants trampoline. It doesn't even have springs on it. It's some like NASA engineered space age deal that has, I don't even know what it is. The cushiony part is very different. It's not old school springs like we had. And we'll be like, well, go jump on a trampoline. Well, we don't really want to do that. Well, Lake Norman's right out back. Go jump in there. Well, we don't really want to do that.
So the trampoline, is it located near your pool or the lake?
Yes,
could you jump off the trampoline into one of the bodies of water?
Not unless you're LeBron James.
Oh, see, that's what I'd be trying to do is move that trampoline so that you could then catapult yourself into the water.
I don't want that. I'm actually looking out my back window right now at it's like an avalanche. There is a downpour outside my window with the snow melting at such an accelerated rate. I'm not sure what exactly we're going to do because we're probably going to have some flooding issues. But yeah, so I keep trying to tell my kids that they need to go outside and do something. But these days, all the kids want to do is sit inside.
You probably wouldn't even be mad if they got into something stupid outside at this point, would you? Because it's just so
just fine
rare. Yeah.
I mean, we shot bottle rockets at each other.
Yeah.
We'd go down to the Magic Mart and we would buy bottle rockets, and we would also buy inflatable rafts that came with the plastic oars. And we would take the plastic oars and we would take a hacksaw and saw the oars in half, slide the bottle rockets in, and light them and aim them at each other. And that was all funny, all well and good, until I took a bottle rocket right here in the jugular vein. And as I was able to grab it and go to throw it, it exploded just out of my hand. So we gave that up because our moms were pissed off at us. I burnt my neck. I had like a huge black bubble, like nasty blister thing.
I feel like all the dumb things
to the Magic Mart.
I feel like all the dumb things I ever did always included a golf cart. Like there was, my friends had one, and in their neighborhood, you'd always have the leaf piles, in the fall. And so you'd have someone driving the golf cart, and then you'd be on the back or something, and you'd jump off and try to make it to the leaf pile. Or we've almost, flipped one on a golf course before. So golf cart's always fun to mess with.
Y'all's experiences are the first two that came to mind for me, jumping off of things and blowing things up.
Did y'all shoot stuff, Wes? Like with 22s and stuff?
We would do the bottle rocket thing like that, shoot like Roman candles at each other and stuff, but we'd also blow up like the spray deodorant bottles. That was the dumbest things that we did.
You ever shoot a potato gun?
Yeah, of course I have. Yeah.
Those are fun.
They are fun. Potato guns are fun. But what we would do when we got real bored, I mean, this was when it reached the DEFCON 3 boredom, is we would just go get 22s and shoot G.I. Joes. Like we would set G.I. Joes up 30 yards away or whatever, 50 yards away, and we would just we would just fire away with our 22s. And I mean, this is in a neighborhood.
I thought you lived on a farm.
I grew up on a farm, but I grew up. So, yes, I grew up working on my family farm. I grew up in a neighborhood.
Okay.
Like my house was in a neighborhood.
He also invaded neighborhoods and shot at people's G.I. Joes.
Did y'all ever take? I can't believe we did this. Did y'all ever, during Christmas time, go rearrange people's reindeer in their front yard, their light up reindeer?
Oh, I've taken lights off an entire house before.
We
Travis,
rearranged
that
them
might
in
be that might be a crime. That might be a crime.
You go take a for sale sign and move it to another house?
Yeah, you
We
ought
would
not do that.
we would take baby Jesuses out of nativity scenes, and we'd always return them.
Wait,
that
what,
was like
what
our
kind of
prank.
scenes?
Nativity scenes.
Nativity.
Nativity?
What do
What
you
is it,
say?
Nativity.
It's nativity.
No, it's not. It's nativity.
It's There's an A in there. It's not in apostrophe tivity.
It's nativity.
It's nativity.
Nah. That's how it is. But yeah, you'd move like you move the reindeers around and move. Yeah. I mean, that's what your
Have
job
y'all
is.
noticed? Have y'all noticed that since Yellowstone, a whole lot more dudes are wearing cowboy hats?
Yes.
Like random dudes in the grocery store have on their cowboy hat now.
Speaking of cowboy, I've recently purchased my first pair of cowboy boots.
This ought to be good. Okay.
I got my first pair of cowboy boots.
All right. Where did you get them? What are they?
I got them at the Nashville Boot Company right down the road from me, actually. I got a pair of Durango boots. I don't have them on today, so I can't show you, but I do have them. I love them.
And what inspired this purchase, Travis?
I just decided why not.
Nashville Trav.
Yeah, just you got to, kind of become a little more.
There's always
Country
a bunch
music,
of options.
Jesus.
There's always a bunch of different options when you're shopping for boots, Travis. So how did you narrow down which boot you wanted? Did you get any kind of like alligator skin
No.
or the ostrich?
I wanted something that is just meant to just casually wear. Like I'm not going to be going anywhere fancy with them. Just a nice casual boot. And it's actually, I was looking at a pair of Ariats, but it's like
Nothing like a nice casual boot.
Are they square toe? Are they
they
pointy
are.
toe?
They're square toe.
So you went square toe Durango. Are they brown, black,
They're
gray?
brown. I went with brown. So I reached out to a bunch of friends.
Is this like a brushed leather, or is this like what kind of material?
It's a leather. I don't know, brushed. I'm not up on my different leathers for cowboy boots. I'll wear them next time, and I'll pull one off and put it on the desk.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay.
I love them.
Just keep it there.
But I'm not gonna be wearing a cowboy hat though. I won't go that far.
Have y'all noticed it though? That since
I've
Yellowstone,
noticed,
like so many more
Belt
dudes are wearing
buckles.
cowboy hats.
A lot of guys are wearing like the pearl button shirts. They all think they're going to work on a ranch, but they're actually just shopping for groceries like everybody else.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me how like the whole trend fascinates me, man, because for so long, if somebody showed up at a party wearing shit kickers, pearl snap shirt, cowboy hat, vest, everybody'd be like, "What are you wearing, dude? Like, what are you wearing?" And now, 3/4 of the dudes in the party have that on. Like, I mean, I don't look at Facebook very often, but I look at Facebook some. And I look at Facebook, and all of a sudden, all my buddies got these cowboy hats on. I'm like, what is going on right now? It's the John Dutton effect. It's the Cole Hauser effect.
I think the cowboy hat's going a little too far too.
I have several of them.
You have cowboy hats?
I have one cowboy. Yeah, I got a bunch of them. I got an awesome Charlie One horse cowboy hat that is black. That's like a formal cowboy hat that I got from former Texas Motor Speedway president Eddie Gossage, which is what they give the drivers that win the NASCAR races in Victory Lane. They give them these 6-shooters, and they give them these Charlie One horse cowboy hats that are balling. And I also have, I don't know, I got a couple of other cowboy hats, but Laney's not a huge fan of me wearing a cowboy hat, so I don't. Plus, I look like Woody from Toy Story if I put a cowboy hat on, and that's never the most becoming look.
When's the last time you wore a cowboy hat out?
I wear a cowboy hat often when we're going out on the boat because it
doesn't
shields
fly
the sun
off?
from my.
It doesn't like fly off though.
Well, you just gotta know. You just gotta drive like this, man. You gotta just hold it on your head until you throw the anchor.
How many Nick
How many
Saban?
years away are we from a Jerry Glanville full-blown cowboy hat at a football game on a coach? Is this happening? Are we going to take
Who's
it
the
this
coach?
far?
Who is the coach that would be
Gundy.
rocking?
It'd have to be Gundy, right? It'd have to be Gundy.
I mean, it fits him. I could see him doing that. It would work too. It'd be cool. It'd be cool if Gundy did that.
Here's a coach that I could see pulling off the cowboy hat to just have some fun. Brent Venables now at OU. No?
Nope. I like the Gundy.
All I
call.
see is that Greeley Hat Works created the cowboy hats for the show. So Greeley, Greeley, Hat Works.
All right, Greeley Hat Works. And where are they based?
I think they're based out of
Wyoming.
the U.S.
We really narrowed that one down, Wes. Thanks.
I think it's an American company. There are also some Stetson brand hats, of course. Cole Hauser's wearing a lot of Stetsons. So yeah, I mean, plenty of options out there for when Travis eventually caves and becomes a cowboy hat guy.
Could you see Sark for like one game?
Nope.
I would love to
That's a
see
negative.
that.
Jimbo, no way. No way Jimbo's going cowboy hat.
The thing is, though, Jimbo's a legitimate
Dana
cowboy. Though.
Holgerson. What about
Sam-
Holgerson?
Sam
No, because
Pittman.
Dana gets got to wear the visor.
Yeah,
Sam
if you're a
Pittman in
visor
cowboy
guy,
hat.
you're not changing it up.
Yeah, I think Jimbo should. I mean, he rides horses anyway. Like he's got a ranch. Oh,
Jimbo's probably
he's
as
a
close
rancher.
to a cowboy as there is in college football, to be
What
honest
about-
with you.
What about this one, Sam Pittman?
Well,
Yeah,
that's what
Pitt-
Wes just said.
Oh, did you?
Wes just
Pitt
said
could wear
that.
one. Pitt could
I
wear
could
one
see
for
him
sure.
rocking one.
I could see the entire
I could
staff
see him
rocking
rocking
one. I could see Barry Odom putting one on
Barry
too.
Odom rocking a Greeley Hat Company lid. All right. Looking like Rip walking around.
That's maybe an untapped NIL market for some of these college football players. Is the
How
Cowboy
has
Boots and
Stetson
hats.
Bennett not gotten a Stetson deal? Like someone is asleep at the wheel over there at Stetson. Greeley's going to beat him to the punch.
mailman hat. You know, I was in Nashville last week. I went and saw the Lion King Broadway musical performance. Brandon has been waiting with bated breath for me to detail this situation, this experience. It was absolutely fantastic. Everything about it, the music, the costumes, the acting, the orchestra, the dudes on the bongos, the whole thing. I had super high expectations, and it exceeded them. Laney and I went to the Tennessee Performing Arts Center there in Nashville and took Vivian, our youngest, to see the performance. And, I mean, it's hard to get tickets to that thing, and I went on there and got these tickets. I thought, based on the little diagram from which I purchased the tickets, that they were good. We were at the very top. We were as far away from the stage as you could be. And the show was still tremendous. I would love to have been closer because I would love to have been able to see the intricate detail of the makeup and all that mess, but it was just supremely well done. And I couldn't recommend it more highly, especially for those of you who live right there beside the Tennessee Performing Arts Center. We had an absolute ball.
How long was it?
It's a 2.5-hour performance with I think 10-minute intermission.
Wow.
The best part though, like y'all gonna laugh at me, but I don't really care. Right at the beginning of
no spoilers, please.
Well, this is fine. Right at the beginning of the performance. They do the Circle of Life song, you know. That song.
Oh,
And I'm going to tell you something now. I looked over at my wife, and she was crying. And I was in tears. I was like emotional about it. It was phenomenal. Like, it was really, really cool to see all of the different, characters, for lack of a better term, all the different animals, and the amazing way that they create these animals. The way that they create
So
the
there's no real
backdrops
animal. They don't bring in any like live animals or anything.
No,
Wes,
there's no
it's
live
a,
animals.
It's a play. You can't have an elephant in the theater.
Like, for example,
Maybe
the way
they
that
should.
they did the wildebeests was awesome, man. They had like these people who were made up like a wildebeest, who had like a big old horn thing on their head, you know, and face paint and all that. But they also had on their arms these they had like little ones, and so they would dance in this way that made it look like they were stampeding. It was balling, dude. I just thought it was so cool. I couldn't be more impressed. Go see it.
So what do people wear to a play? I've been to the Nutcracker at Christmas, and I wore like a tux or whatever to the Fox. But do people dress up like?
Were you dressed to the nines?
Like, yeah. Do you
I was
dress,
not.
Or do you
I
dress
was
up
going
like
to.
a character? Do you wear like a
I was
Simba
going
shirt?
to. I was going to wear, like, Vivian wore a cute little outfit like she'd wear to church. Lainey
So it's a nice event.
wore a dress. I was going to wear a suit, but my wife talked me out of it. And there were a lot of dudes there wearing suits, but I basically dressed like John Dutton without the cowboy hat because
Yeah. Any cowboy hats?
Yeah, you had a looks like a dress shirt on and then a vest on. Did you have cowboy boots on?
no, I didn't have I had on J's.
Of course you did.
But yeah, I was vest before vest was cool.
You love a vest.
I have been vest before John Dutton was ever thought of, dude.
But you have the more you have like the slimmer vest. You don't have like any like the bigger style.
No, I like to be tucked in,
Yeah.
like really tucked in.
Yeah, you like
I've
your
always
vest
Like
to
a
be
fashion vest,
tight.
not like a vest to stay warm. That's a
No,
concept
it's
I've
both.
never
It's
understood.
a fashion vest, but it's
He definitely
absolutely thermal.
He definitely wears them to get warm because I've seen him at Augusta buy a vest because he was cold that day and didn't have something to wear outside. But
They're very affordable.
But he gets them very snug. He gets them mediums.
Okay, but then your arms get cold, right?
No, I mean it depends on the weather, but like that's what I love about Nashville is like perfect vest weather because you're out walking, it's a little chilly, so you want the body to stay warm, but you're moving the arms and you want that airflow, so it's a perfect combination. And also, Wes, the hoodie short combo is great, like on a fall Saturday or like an early spring. Oh, love the hoodie short combo.
I've just always been, I guess, anti-vest. I'm not into it. Like
You need to try it.
I steer clear of the vest. Like I can't even wrap my mind around a situation where I'd wear one. I just wear a jacket.
We are way the hell off the rails. Let's now
Somebody that's never gone into the
transition.
rails.
Let's transition now. As I said earlier, this interview was really cool, first of all, because it's Mario Andretti. Just the opportunity to chat with someone that had one of the greatest careers in the history of professional racing, was phenomenal in every discipline. And one of the things that I asked Mario about was, what is the challenge of being a great, versatile race driver? There are drivers who are forever legends in one single discipline, but what made Mario so amazing was whether he was in an open wheel car, a stock car, midget, whatever, he was dominant. And that's just really rare and hard to do. I mean, he's the only race driver ever to win the Indianapolis 500, the Daytona 500, and the Formula One World Championship in a career. Exactly one human being has ever done that. just tremendous. He also dropped a couple nuggets on me here during this conversation that I'm very intrigued by. He would not expound upon them, but there's something coming. I don't know what it is yet, but y'all are going to be very intrigued by this. So here he is, Mario Andretti on the Marty Smith Podcast. I mean, I have been blessed in this life to interview some of the absolute most iconic, greatest, most accomplished athletes of our time, but I've never had the blessing of sitting down with this guy. I mean, first of all, going to be 82 in February, look 51, vibrant as ever. Man, what is the secret? How do you stay so young?
You gotta love life, I guess. Try to hang in there as long as we can, but I just like to stay busy. I'll never retire, so to speak. Again, enjoy every day.
My assumption was you would say really good red wine is what I was expecting there.
That's part of it.
That's definitely part of it, right?
Part of the good life, for sure. Yeah, I definitely endorse that side of it.
Only race driver in the human history to win the Indy 500, the Daytona 500, and the Formula One World Championship. When you started this journey, how would you have defined success? Like, what were your wildest dreams, Mario?
Well, Marty, all I can say is that even as a young lad, where, realistically things looked impossible, I think you're allowed to dream. And while you're dreaming, might as well dream big, because if I would have expressed myself as to what really I wanted to be someday, obviously people would be laughing at me, including my family, But the bottom line is that the sport captured my imagination when I was, just about basically a teenager, 10 or 11 years old. And from there on, I never had a plan B. I always say that. And with all that was going on in our lives right after World War II and all that, being displaced from home and then immigrating to the States. But coming to America, that's when the opportunities really opened up. And opened up to the point that I could eventually realize my most ambitious dream that I had, and goal, I should say. So here again, it's about staying the course, believing in yourself, and let passion drive you.
I couldn't agree more. Well said. Passion's undefeated, man. That undeniable positive energy is such a dynamic thing. And if you are a huge dreamer, I'm the same way. I was always fearless to dream huge dreams for myself, and I've been so blessed that a lot of those, most of those have come true. You said something there that I found interesting. When you guys came to the United States, some of those opportunities revealed themselves to you. How were they revealed?
Well, here there was no plan in place whatsoever as far as the racing aspect, that's for sure. My dad did not endorse that. But when we arrived in the States, we arrived right here where I live right now in Nazareth, Pennsylvania. And Lord and behold, there was a racetrack here and there was some racing. We arrived there in June. Sorry. Arrived there in June, middle of June, and season was in full swing. We arrived there on a Thursday. Sunday night, racing was, that's when it was happening. And that's when we discovered I say we because it was my twin brother Aldo and I, we were thinking the same and doing everything together. And that's it. So after we discovered that, we felt, it's kind of doable after we saw those modified stock cars and the last thing that we had seen the year before in Monza in Italy at the Italian Grand Prix, there were Formula One cars. Now those look like unapproachable. But the stock cars here, I figure, you know what? I think that's doable. And 2 years later, we started building one. And 2 years later than that, we started driving. And my career started in 1959, 4 years after arriving here. And my last professional race was in 2000 at that 24 Hours of Le Mans.
What blows my mind the most about that story, for those of you listening who may not know the exact timeline of Mario's career, he's talking about, okay, his first race was 1959. Okay, he won the Daytona 500 8 years later, and your career is just remarkable beyond words, and I can't help but wonder, like, what was the break? When did you? Who gave you that break, or what was that moment where it was like, okay, this thing it's a jet and it's taken off towards, I might actually be able to do something in this business?
Well, it was gradual, but as far as help, you can't do it alone. I can tell you that. We had a lot of help from many people and at different times, different periods. And to me, the sport was like when you're going to school. You start in first grade, and then you go on and you progress. So that's what was happening. From stock cars, I wanted to get into open wheel cars, and we got into a 3/4 midget. I had actually, uh, who became eventually my father-in-law, that invested in a 3/4 midget, and I drove 3/4 midgets, and I won the biggest race of that season, and that got me right in the full-size midget. And then and I did some winning there. From there, I got to sprint cars, and then the champ cars, which was the Indy cars of today. And along the way, though, once I got into the champ cars, actually my rookie season, I won the national championship, and it was rookie of the year at Indy, finished third, and that launched me pretty good. It sort of gave me some opportunities that were golden for me. For instance, number one, I was one of the development drivers for Firestone. So putting a lot of miles under my belt and really kind of refining my trade, if you will. And then I had a great relationship with Ford because of Indianapolis. We were using their engines. And then with the Le Mans program coming on in 1966, in which I won another national championship in '66. Then that gave me a ride in their program, which was awesome. And 2 years later, Lord and behold, I got my first break in Formula One. Why? Because in '65, I befriended Colin Chapman and Jimmy Clark, and when we were saying our goodbyes at the end of after the race, I told Colin Chapman, I said, Colin, someday I would like to do Formula One. And he said, Mario, when you think you're ready, I will have a car for you. Now, those were golden words, let me tell you, Marty. I mean, and so events like this, all of a sudden, just open up a whole world, a whole dimension, a whole new dimension. And it gives you reason to just work your butt off, to try to earn that right and to do a good job, and on and on. So when the opportunities come, you got to seize that and get the job done. Otherwise, you're dead in the water. So, and things were happening. Like I said, I was driven by so much love for what I was doing that. I had to make it happen, and a lot of good things were happening to me. My very first Formula One race at Watkins Glen, I was on pole. Next to me was world champion Jackie Stewart. So things like that, are just something that you need, to be able to move forward. And again, I mean, it's the ultimate reward, obviously, that you could ever expect, could ever want, I should say, not expect. We had we had moments like not one single moment, but there were moments along the way that just all of a sudden opened up some doors that that actually sometimes they can be pretty difficult.
For folks that aren't hardcore racing people, they look at auto racing and go, oh, okay, if he can run this stock car, then he should be able to run that Indy car. And if he can run that Indy car, certainly he should be able to run this F1 car. Versatility across all genres or disciplines is actually very rare. It's hard to be great at all of them because they're extremely different skill sets. What was it that allowed you? Like, what makes a great race driver, Mario? How were you able to jump from this car to that discipline to that genre and always be fast?
Well, number one, I think you need equipment that's capable. So that's important. That's your tools. No, but I should say that's number two. Number one is the desire. You want to be there. In our sport, there are several disciplines, as you say, that you could specialize in and be very happy by making a career there. And many drivers have done that, and that's wonderful. But, it's got to be a personal thing. I was driven by curiosity in so many ways. And also, I'm looking at some of my closest competition, my rivals, like A.J. Foyt, at the time was Dan Gurney, Parnelli Jones, who were driving just about anything that they had the opportunity to go to, and winning. And I said, you know what, I want to do the same. And again, it was just that curiosity that takes you there, and then from there, it's the passion. It's just the will to get it done, and also embracing the challenge. You have to embrace the challenge. What makes this beast? How can I tame this beast so it doesn't kill me? It's that kind of a thing. And at the end of the day, you come away with a lot of satisfaction. That's what you're doing. You're doing it to satisfy yourself. And when you get some of these things done, you want more. Especially. And the thing is not to be able to tell yourself, I didn't just experience that. We want to win. You want to win. You want to win somebody else's sandbox, at their own rules. So it's, these are all the things that I think it kept me, for sure, very interested in and motivated in the sport, because these challenges are something that, man, you wake up in the morning and say, man, I'm going for that. How lucky am I, to have this opportunity? You race stock cars, for instance, and to be able to race with, for Smokey Yunick, their one race, it wasn't that successful, but, one of the top entries there, and a real icon in NASCAR. And then the Holman and Moody team, and so on and so forth. So when you drive for people like that, it gives you also a lot of confidence in the sense that, it's up to me now. I think the equipment should be good enough to bring home some results here. So all of that means a lot, means a great deal. Confidence is paramount. It's supreme in our sport. And that's what gives you the confidence.
It's pretty rare these days for race drivers to hop from different discipline to different discipline. A lot of stock car guys are trying sprint cars these days and that type of thing, but one of them is having remarkable success no matter what he seems to climb in, and that's Kyle Larson. Won the NASCAR championship, double-digit wins this past season, won the $1 million All-Star race. It seems like if that young man gets in it, not only is he fast, but he wins. What do you see from him, Mario, that's special?
I see, maybe I'm presumptuous, but I see a lot of myself there, because he doesn't have to do those things. I mean, NASCAR itself can keep you busy enough, and yet, he's got to be in a midget. He's got to be in a sprint car. So what is he driven by? Pure love for driving. always said, I'll match my love for driving a race car with anybody on this planet. And it's individuals like himself, which I was drawn to him because of that. And when he was a rookie, when he came on the NASCAR scene as a rookie, one thing that impressed me immediately, he had a big go with Jimmy Johnson. I think it was at Dover, and how clean he was, how respectful he was of Jimmy. Yeah, at the same time, he wasn't giving an inch, but he was doing it right. I said, man, this kid has got something going. And sure enough, it's he's certainly proved it. He has proven it. Kudos to Rick Hendrick for giving him the break of his life, to bringing him back, with the top equipment. And of course, he rewarded him now with this championship. And he's on his way. He's definitely the new NASCAR superstar, which is wonderful. It's wonderful for him. It's wonderful for the sport. And that's what keeps racing. That's what keeps the interest in it. That's what we look forward to. That's why, we can't wait for the season to get started again, they said. So, again, a good thing. And again, he's one of those drivers that, again, I admire so much because of that, because he's doing things that he won't have to do. He's doing it. Why? For his own satisfaction. I remember, I'll just go a little bit further. I'm really, very good friends with Chip Ganassi. And one day we were chatting, and I was, saying, you got a good little driver there, my friend. And he says, you know what? He says, should I let him do the sprint cars? And I said, you're darn right, man. If you don't, I said, I'll whack you. I said, you absolutely got to do that. Got to let him race. Let him do what he wants. And I give you another example here. Every contract that I had, in the sport, there was a clause there that I had to have written permission to do anything outside of my commitment there. I never argue with that. You know why? Because I was going to do it anyway. I'll give you an example. It was in Formula One, my world championship year. I was testing in Silverstone in England on a Wednesday, and there was no races coming weekend, in Formula One. So Colin Chapman says, what are you doing? You staying over? Are you going back to the States? I said, yeah, I'm going back to the States, and I'm going to race. I'm racing in Michigan for Roger Penske. He says, you can't do that. I said, I know, but I will. So that's it.
Your memory is remarkable. The fact that you just said, I was testing Silverstone on a Wednesday. Are you one of these guys? The one thing that I marvel about with golfers especially is how they remember every shot. All of them. They remember every shot they ever took. Are you one of these guys that remembers all the nuance and all the intricate detail of every race you ran?
Well, not every race, but I mean, I can tell you that I do have a pretty good recollection, of many of the races that happened, 30, 40 years ago. And these are the things that somehow, they're important enough that you keep bringing it up and so forth. So, yeah, that's what it really is. It's certain moments, to set an example, for instance. And, when it comes to that, I have a pretty good recollection. I don't remember what I did yesterday. But...
Same here. I can't remember to get the milk. Speaking of guys who are doing things they don't have to do, Jimmy Johnson is absolutely on that list. 7-time NASCAR champion, won however many dozens of races at the highest level of stock car racing, first ballot Hall of Famer, you name it, right? And he decided, based on the passion for the sport, that he wanted to tackle a monster. A kind of a twofold question here, Mario. How difficult is it to do what Jimmy Johnson is doing, and how is he doing?
Well, first of all, I mean, nothing is easy in that sense, especially for the fact that he stayed in NASCAR for a long, long time. I mean, he pretty much, completed a beautiful career there, but he's still young enough that, he wants to just tackle something, a new challenge. And, I like the way he's going about it. He's with a great team. Here he is with Chip Ganassi, which is giving him, proper equipment, competitive equipment. And, and he's not forcing the situation. He's taking his good old time until he puts his arm around it fully, and then look out. That's all I can say, because talent like that, he will never go wasted. He will always be able to reveal himself, and the best part is he's having fun. So that's the other part that I think is important. So the man is a real racer. I just love the fact that he's doing this. It's a great thing for the sport, and he's definitely been welcomed with open arms in IndyCar, and it should be, but among the disciplines. I mean, when you get a crossover, that's one thing I always felt myself, that I always felt very comfortable, wherever I went, quite honestly, and I have friends everywhere, and always will. So that's the beauty about our sport. It's one big family, and there are glitches here and there, but overall, it's a welcoming sport.
What do you wish you could do one more time behind the wheel? If you got one more shot, what would it be?
I think it might happen this year, actually.
I'm all ears. Go.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Okay. There's a nice little tease from one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest of all time. So there's potential you might be back behind the wheel at some time in 2022. Fair?
It's fair.
Wow. All right. I dig it. What competitor most impressed you during your career? Who was the guy?
Well, it's hard to pick one for sure, but the one that was really that helped me, I think, work on my skills and becoming a better driver was AJ Foyt. And I'll tell you why, because when I broke into the top level in Indy cars, he was already established champion. He's 5 years. In fact, it was his birthday yesterday, and I called him. We had a nice chat, and but he was already established, and he was a yardstick. And I'll tell you what, not an easy guy to get along with either, but he was correct. I mean, on track and everything else, I mean, you could fight wheel to wheel, and he would never do anything stupid. So immediately he gained my respect, that's for sure. I don't know if Fight gained his respect, but
I think you did all right.
Nevertheless, he was the one that I had to be shooting for. I figured, if I'm going to get anywhere, that's who I have to be able to meet head on and see how I do, and so forth. And so again, because of that, obviously, I always said, he'll be my BFF. And at the beginning, when I said that, he didn't know what that meant, but again, it's individuals like that. That's the beauty about any business that's so competitive. There's always someone that represents the ultimate, that you want to be, and because of that, until you feel at least that you reach that level, you're not going to be satisfied, and that's what makes you work hard, and again, but you do have an example that to go for.
It was a different era when you guys were beating the hell out of each other on racetracks in stock cars and racing wheel to wheel and open wheel cars. Very different time. In a lot of cases, a lot of those guys were racing for food. I mean, they were racing to keep the lights on in their house, right? So for like, describe that. Describe the difference in being a race driver in that era when that's what's on the line versus now when there's so much more financial stability and career stability for today's race drivers?
Well, I mean, the stability is there. You got to create the stability. You got to earn the stability too. So, um, but obviously, our sport, just like all professional sports, have evolved over the decades. I mean, you have golfers that say, "Oh man, look what they're earning today." Back then, like even Jack Nicklaus, back then, we worked our butts off and look what we did. But, everything was relative. The bottom line is my biggest objective in life was to not have to do anything else for my living, for my work, but race cars. And when I accomplished that and I was able to feed my family, that was huge. That was huge. And then I always said, you know what? I have so much love for it that I didn't want to say it out loud that I would race for free.
Never let them know.
But it was anything but that. I always went, obviously, for the best contracts I could have possibly get because I had to justify that. I felt that in case something happens to me, I want to be sure that my family, my kids, my wife are well cared for, and so on and so forth. And so you always have something, some objective to go for. You want to win races for yourself, but you also, it brings back a financial aspect too. So everything, there's so many aspects, so many things that give you the need to succeed, so to speak.
Need to succeed. And switching gears a little bit to Formula One, I don't know if you watched the documentary on Netflix, Drive to Survive, but its impact has been remarkable in the United States of America. It has grown the interest and the awareness of F1 racing in the United States to a substantial degree. So I got a couple questions about that. First, how would you or how did you react to the 2021 Formula One finale? What were your thoughts on that?
From my standpoint, I thought it was fantastic. I think that, things happen that you cannot predict, obviously, and the race, everything, which was probably the most, I should say, the one race that everybody wanted to see because there was, the two protagonists were going head to head right from ground zero. And but it was the race was a snoozer right until about 6 laps to go when the Lafitte's accident happened. And then from there, it was an open game. And, there was a lot of controversy on how it should have been handled, this and that. You could, Monday morning quarterbacking is always there, and something like that. And it could have said that race director Michael Masi should have red flagged that and all that. Well, you know what? There were 6 laps to go. They should have been able to clean the track. And within maybe 2 laps, no more than 3 laps. But unfortunately, in Formula One, it's not like NASCAR or IndyCar where you have the same crews at every race. In Formula One, you're in a different country, different continent. So you rely on locals, to do the job. They're really well, trained and all that. But at the same time, they're in this particular situation, they were very slow, very, very slow in cleaning up. So here was coming down to a decision to be made. And Masi, whom, over the season, I did not agree with many of his decisions as far as penalties, but he wanted to get the race to finish and with a green flag, and so he just let the cars usually you let the cars, the lap cars to unlap themselves, before you give the green. And he did on the cars that actually were in front of the real competitors, of the race, at least the top 5. And then he got the thing, he succeeded in getting the race to finish in the green, which was fantastic. I mean, and let's face it, okay, they say, oh, well, if we red flagged it, I would have been able to put, the new tires on, and it would have been more of an even situation. You know what? He could have gone in, but that's Lewis, and the Mercedes. But, when you're running first like he was, you're going to be conservative. You potentially don't want to give up track position. When you're running behind, you got nothing to lose, so you go in, and they did what Max Verstappen did. If the situation was reversed, I think they would have done the same. And the other thing that I see is that when the green came out, Lewis took off. Really hard, and there wasn't I think turn 4 where. Obviously, that's when he got overtaken, but he left the door wide open. He didn't. He could have defended himself a little more vigorously. So again, at the end of the day, when you look at the whole aspect of it, the right guy won. Max, had some bad luck throughout the season, overcame that. There were a couple of races he was knocked out. One Silverstone by Lewis, and Lewis won. And in Azerbaijan, when the left rear tire exploded because there was a problem with the tires that day, so the Lance Stroll had the same problem, and then knocked him out of the race. No points. If any of those two races he would have finished even second, the championship would have been decided. But looking back, it was a phenomenal season, in my opinion, because it was riveting. Each race was. The championship, as you say, you can design something like this to go to the last race of the season and both have the same points, to go for. So again, I say it was a wonderful season, and I love the way that last race finished, and Max Verstappen is world champion, deservedly
If
so.
you're Lewis Hamilton, what do you do for 2022?
Oh, I'd go out there and try to redeem myself. Let's face it. I said this that he certainly has some objectives to accomplish yet. The 8th World Championship would put him out there alone. Probably maybe a record that potentially will never be surpassed. And it's with the Mercedes, with the team that he's with. He has the best chance to be realistically fighting for it. But it's his decision, obviously. But looking at it from where I stand, there's no way I would give up now.
I want to go back to the documentary and its impact in America for just a second. Formula One doesn't need America. But based on the fact that they've now added Miami, they're going to have a couple races in the United States. It's obvious they want America. So, Mario, from your perspective, what does America mean to Formula One potentially?
I think it's a big deal, no question. I think we could say, okay, Formula One can do without America. They have the rest of the world, but America is a big part of the world, and they realize that. I think Liberty Media sees that. The rest of the entire contingent, Formula One, they know how important it is, and so to have two races here is fantastic, and when we've had a time where we were like Formula One was like gypsies here, with temporary courses, after Watkins Glen, all of a sudden everything, between Long Beach, okay, a couple of years, and then went to Vegas, and then it went to Phoenix, and it went to Dallas, and so, like I said, it was not establishing itself, but then with Austin, with the track being built there, with the with the infrastructure that's right up to snuff with the rest of the Taj Mahals around the world, that spells stability. And now with the second event, even though it looks like it's temporary, but I tell you what, it's an incredible investment that they're making down there, and it's not going to be temporary. It's going to be there to stay. So going back to how important it is, that you're done right, it's important. Commercially, I don't know if there's any other country that can probably contribute more than America to Formula One, sponsorship wise. So again, yeah, I think Formula One, we have a probably an underestimated fan base here in America, quite honestly. And as you said, I think the Netflix movie really has awakened that, especially the younger set, because there's nothing like really realizing what goes on behind the scenes. It makes you appreciate so much of what what is valuable, and the fight that goes on, and as far as the preparation, the logistics, and everything. And so that movie was golden, for the fan base for Formula One, and I think now to provide the U.S. fans with two races, you're done right. It's timely.
I've kept you too long. I'll get you out of here on this. Thank you. First of all, I'm full of gratitude. Thank you for your time. Al Unser recently passed away. Obviously, an absolute legend among legends, someone with whom you were close, competed alongside. What is his legacy, Mario?
Oh, his proud legacy for sure. I mean, the Unsers as a family, look what they have accomplished. I mean, overall, and Al, talking about Al, I mean, he and I, we were teammates. We were teammates. We with Parnelli Jones for about 4 years, and I mean, in IndyCar, Formula 5000, with the dirt track championship in 1973 and 74. He and I were first and second. He won 73, I was second, and vice versa, 74. We fought hard and had so much fun. And I had a special appreciation, for his ability, his racecraft. I don't know if there's anyone else that, especially in those days, that knew how to really, really treat the car, to be able to bring it to the end. And because of that, especially at Indy, he won it 4 times because he knew how to nurse the car to bring it home. And, again, you don't accomplish those things unless you know what you're doing. And but Al and I were always good friends. And again, it was a terrible loss, obviously. And but it's a cycle of life. We have to accept it, but they will always be missed for sure.
And the last thing that I really want to know, I wanted to ask you this for a really long time. You know how close I am with Dale Earnhardt Jr., and so I kind of know.
You look a little bit like him right now.
I could sign some autographs for him if he really needed me to stand in for him at the autograph table. There is a lot of weight that comes with an accomplished, historic, legendary, famous last name. Andretti, racing is the family business, and you did it at the highest level. Your son, now your grandson. Have there ever been moments where you had to chat with Michael or with Marco about the weight of the name?
Well, it's it's good you say that, because with Michael especially, he just shoved that aside entirely, and he took charge of his own destiny. And that's the best thing you could have said. I mean, you can talk and talk and talk until the cows come home. But, as individuals, they have to just create their own path, and not be concerned about the weight of this, the weight of that. Satisfy yourself. Just like I said to the kids, I think I made my point clear early enough, when they looked like they were going to follow this path. I says, don't try to do it because, you might think that that's what I like you to see. Of course I would. But, I mean, it's your life. It's your path. Do what you know you're going to enjoy. And that's the thing. And if you allow that to weigh in on you in a negative way, then something is really wrong. And I don't know how else to phrase it, quite honestly. Um, I mean, Dale Jr. and I, we spoke, just a little bit about this type of thing. But, um, as kids, they were brought into that environment, and they embraced it. And that made me very proud. And I think the fact that Michael and Jeff, and so even Jeff, in some ways, he's still involved in high performance, that aspect of the industry. And look what Michael is doing. I mean, as a driver, he's got to be pretty proud for what he accomplished as a driver. Now, he's good. He's in the business. He's been in the business, and he looks to be there forever. And he never has enough on his plate. If you look at all the disciplines, everything is involved in all over the place, all over the world. He's got a team in Europe. He's got a team in Australia.
That close to having an F1 team, like that right there.
Yeah, but
okay.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned, Marty.
All right. I love it. I love all the teases, brother. I can't wait to see what this means. Those of you listening who may not know, Michael was, Mario, within a day or a two of closing on the Alfa Romeo team. It was almost Andretti F1. Well, look, I am staying tuned. I'm as tuned as you can stay, brother. Hey, look, thank you so much for offering me so much time. I love your spirit. I can't believe that little old Marty has the opportunity to chat with you. Thank you so much, sir.
Oh, have a great one. Thanks for having me, Marty. I enjoyed it.
Again, I can't wait to see what Mario and Michael have in store. To say I'm intrigued would be a colossal understatement. I can't imagine what it might be. But when you are discussing with one of the greatest of all time, who again turns 82 years old in February, and he says stay tuned about his own driving career, you kind of go, what? So I can't wait to see what that means. And I know that's going to make a lot of race fans go, all right,
that'd be like
staying tuned.
It'd be like MJ saying, like, hey, there's a chance that I come back to play in a game or something. Like, it's one of the GOATs of the sport, like a living legend.
I love his perspective. I appreciate his time. One thing that I wanted to say, too, before we get out of here is I wore this exact hat. It's one of our new hats at Outsider. It's camouflage on the bill. It has a circle emblem patch on the front. I wore it on Marty and McGee the other day, and I can't tell you how many text messages I got. I can't imagine how many tweets I got. I don't really look at Twitter right now, but I probably got a lot there. I got a lot of direct messages on Instagram as well. I wanted to let y'all know that our store opens February 1st officially, and you can go on there. We'll have several different varieties of Outsider hats, and we can't wait for you guys to get your hands on those. They will be available again February 1st in our merch store at outsider.com. Make sure you go there and get yours. We have some awesome designs. We love the United States of America. We have several different American flag designs. I guess I should say American flag designs on our hats that y'all are going to love, as well as this design, the design you saw on Wes's melon earlier during the program. So go get yours here coming up in just a couple weeks at outsider.com. Make sure that you rate, review, and follow my social media handles at Marty Smith ESPN, both on Twitter and Instagram. Follow Travis and Wes. I don't ever remember what Wes's is. Travis is at Travis Rockhold. And make sure, above all, to follow at Outsider on Twitter and at Outsider IG on Instagram, because we are putting out some new content multiple times every day that y'all are going to love. So check that out. We have so many amazing guests coming up here on this podcast. Drake White is a fascinating individual. He is a country music singer who a couple of years ago suffered a stroke in the middle of a concert and has had quite a path out the other side of that. He had to learn how to walk again. He had to learn how to play guitar again, which he's actually still in the middle of learning. And he is a very inspirational cat. So y'all make sure that you tune in for that here in the coming weeks. We have Ashley McBride coming up in a few weeks. We have Lauren Elena coming up in a few weeks. We have Jess Lockwood, PBR world champion, who's hilarious, by the way. That damn guy had us in stitches. He'll be coming up probably next week, but certainly here in the coming weeks very soon. We have so many awesome guests coming up. Thank y'all for listening. We really appreciate your investment. Again, rate, review, follow. Tell everybody you know. We need it. We need to grow this thing. We are growing this thing. We're trying to build a community here at Outsider that champions kindness, effort, and passion. And that matters very deeply to me. Thank you so much to our law enforcement officials. I was at the national championship, and I had a couple guys in uniform walk over to me and thank me for saying that. And I just find that to be crazy. They say they don't hear that enough, and it's not what they do it for, but it certainly feels nice when you do hear it. I'm grateful for what they do for our communities all over this country. Thank you to our first responders and our firemen for risking their own lives to save others. Thank you so much to the United States military. So full of gratitude that we get to be free, that we get to walk outside every day and aspire to be whatever we have the desire to be. If we're willing to work hard enough, we got a shot because we have freedom. Thank you guys. This is the Marty Smith Podcast at Outsider. Thank y'all for listening. Be well.